Welcome back to the Red Dice Diaries. It's Friday and this is a bit of a bonus episode. I was hoping to talk about the sort of pre-release PDFs for the advanced fantasy options of Old School Essentials, but due to some technical issues, they've not been released yet. But something's just happened that made me think, you know what, I'm going to record a little bit of a mini bonus rant episode. So strap yourself in. If you liked my old sort of RPG Bugbears videos I used to do on my YouTube channel, you'll probably enjoy this. And if you don't like a rant, consider this a bit of a warning. And if you don't want to listen to someone ranting about something that nazzed them off recently, feel free to move along. I won't hold it against you. Now, I've got an account on Reddit, and I know a lot of people have said to me, oh, why'd you bother with Reddit, or, you know, there's nothing worth it on there, and a lot of people have cautioned me against some of interacting with people on there, but to be honest, I mainly use my Reddit account for, like, grabbing battle maps and stuff like that, and there's some people putting out some great creative content on there, and by and large, my interaction with people, although I don't post a great deal on there, has been pretty good. Well, that was until today, to be perfectly honest. I don't know if you're aware, but I recently did a post on my blog called 20 Random Snowy Mountain Encounters, and these were sort of vaguely D&D-esque sort of encounters that you could roll on a 1d20 table just to see like what random tap might happen in your game. So things like avalanches, finding bodies in the snow, finding caves that could be occupied by creatures, that sort of stuff. Now, the game mechanics were kept to a sort of fair minimum because I wanted people from all editions of D&D, whether that be going from like the old BX right up to 5th edition or even like variants like Pathfinder and stuff like that. I wanted to keep it fairly simple. Now, there's one option on there which is talking about sort of like rock falls, and there's another one for avalanches. And basically I offered some sort of simple advice as to like how you might want to run an avalanche. You know, basically people have got to make a dex roll to jump out of the way. And you might be thinking, oh, where's the big deal with that, John? I mean, all sort of D&D games have pretty much the same stats and dexes in the vast majority of them. Well, it would appear someone on Reddit took great exception because instead of writing dex roll, I wrote dex save. And that apparently instantly makes my post 5th edition specific. Never mind all the other stuff in there, never mind all the other options. You know, that one word being changed renders it entirely useless to anyone using different editions. Now, never mind that people have been sort of house rolling D&D since God was a boy. Never mind that people that have created great stuff in the OSR. Never mind that people have been house rolling things and taking things from different editions. All that doesn't matter because John wrote that you can use a dex save. He's endorsing 5th edition. Now, to be honest, 5th edition isn't my favourite edition of D&D. Do I mind it? No, not really. It's just not my favourite. If you want to play 5th edition, do you know what? Crack on with it. You enjoy yourself. I hope you and your friends, whoever you're playing D&D with, have a great time. If you don't like D&D 5th edition, you want to play a different edition of D&D, or shock horror, you want to play a game that isn't D&D, again, crack on. As long as you're enjoying yourself, that is absolutely grand. Now, I've often heard people say that, like,
oh, the OSR scene and the sort of like older D&D scene isn't very inclusive, you know, it's sort of like, if you're not in the in crowd, you know, you tend to get pushed out, and people are just looking for ways to like marginalise people.
And when people have said that before, I've always just gone, nah, don't talk rubbish. I know loads of people are into old D&D, BX, Beyond, all editions and various retro clones and whatever you want to talk about between those. But I've got to admit, it did make my blood boil when someone was getting on my case and pretty much saying to me,
don't post this post in this OD&D subreddit because you mentioned a dex save.
Which, as I say, was a mistake anyway. I should have said dex roll because attribute rolls can be used in early editions of D&D. I know, shock horror. It's not like a company bought out a game called Castles and Crusades that specifically placed the emphasis on that or anything. But no, I used the word dex save. So that immediately made it 5th edition. And the person in question was like, oh, don't post this on there. There's
plenty of coverage for 5th edition on the internet already, and there's nowhere else for anyone to talk about original D&D.
Which also is an absolute crock of horse. I can think of loads of different Facebook sites, subreddits, groups on MeWe, forums, all of that sort of stuff to do with retro clones, OSR games, D&D. There's no sort of single island of safety amidst this vast sea of D&D, where a few embattled people who still like older editions are sort of manning the walls and fighting back the hordes of people who want to play a slightly different edition. Let's take a reality check. That's horseshit. Sorry, but it just is. 5th edition being about hasn't made all of these earlier editions go away any more than when they eventually bring out 6th edition, it'll make 5th edition go away. Hell, I've seen people talking about 4th edition, and loads of people didn't like that. There's people still playing it. People still playing 3rd edition, 2nd edition AD&D, 1st edition AD&D. In fact, I've just recently acquired the sort of Orange Spine books myself. People playing BX, stuff like that. I'm running a campaign of Old School Essentials, which is a faithful reproduction of BX, and I'm greatly enjoying that. The fact that other people love 5th edition doesn't affect that in the least. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a 5th edition fanboy, to be honest. Like I say, it's an alright game. I've run it a few times. It's not really my cup of tea. For my money, it tends towards the sort of superheroic end of the spectrum of fantasy, rather than the sort of slightly grittier, sort of down and dirty version that I prefer. But different strokes for different folks. You love 5th edition, you play 5th edition, you and your players are having a great time. Great. You don't like it, you're playing an earlier edition, again, that is great. All I would say is that whatever edition of D&D you're playing, as long as you're having fun, you and your friends, do you know what? It's none of my business what version of D&D you're playing. And I have no right to tell you that you should not play this edition because it's worse, or you should not talk about that edition because it's worse. But as I say, I just wanted to have this bit of a rant, get it off my chest, because it really made my blood boil, this person's attitude of like, oh, you've mentioned the word save instead of roll, so that automatically means it's 5th edition and automatically means it's bad. And to be honest, I highly doubt the person actually read the post on my blog anyway. They just glanced through it, saw a deck save, and immediately in that sort of keyboard warrior way were firing off on the keyboard. So to be honest, I've deleted that post and I've left that subreddit, because if there's massive like monkeys like that in there, I don't really want to be a part of that community. But anyway, that's my rant. If you want to get in touch and say, whoa, John, calm down, stop ranting, it doesn't matter, or you want to talk to me about anything else, I'm normally a lot calmer than this, but that did annoy the piss of me. So I thought, better get it off my chest. I'll put it out in this bonus episode. People seem to like the old bugbear videos when that happens, so we'll see how this goes down. But like I say, if you want to get in touch, you can drop me a voicemail message on SpeakPipe, or you can send me an email to rddrpgpodcast@gmail.com. Until I see you next time, take care, stay safe, and you know what, whatever version of D&D or other game that you're playing, have fun, enjoy yourselves, and I'll catch you soon.